first book I want to read during my fall break vacation is Crooked Kingdom by Leigh Bardugo. I've actually already started this book. I'm about halfway through it, but I really want to finish it because with school and everything that's been going on in my normal life, I haven't had a lot of time to read, and I think fall break will be the perfect time to get this done. And I'm really excited to finish it because it is a really good story so far. As you can see, I'm about halfway through. I have 300 pages left in this book, and I just need to power through it and get it done. The next book I want to read is a short book by J.R.R. Tolkien called The Story of Kullervo. This is a very short book. It's only about 200 pages. I'm not entirely sure what it's about because the synopsis on the back is not very specific, so I'm really intrigued to find out more as I read it. I'm really excited to also add another book to my list of Tolkien books that I've read and hopefully loved, but who knows until I read it. This one has been sitting on my shelf for a really long time, so I really need to get to it this break. This book is a book that I really need to read this break because of the time crunch. It is Breathe by Sarah Fujimura, and I was actually sent this book by the author to review on my YouTube channel a few months ago, honestly. I think it was September, but I could be very wrong. It could have been earlier. So I really need to read this book and give you my thoughts on it. I'm really excited to read it. It's a historical fiction, which is always up my alley. It's about the Spanish flu, and it has some romance elements in it, and a really good adventure story. So I've heard, at least. So I'm really excited to read it. I only take sponsored reviews if I think I'm going to like the book, because I don't want to give a negative review, of course. So I hope that this one does not disappoint. Plus the cover is really pretty. Being a theater lover, I had to include a list of plays to read this break as well. The first of these being Rosencrantz and Guildenstern Are Dead by Tom Stoppard. This play follows Rosencrantz and Guildenstern as they go through Hamlet's story from William Shakespeare, but it goes from their point of view with events that happen to them that aren't mentioned in the original Shakespeare play, and it just basically goes from their point of view as everything plays out. And I've had this play recommended to me by so many different people, both theater lovers and non-theater lovers, so I know that it plays a lot of different audiences, which is super cool and means that it must have something that is really good and grabbing for most people to read, because plays aren't something that is commonly read. So I'm really excited to see what the buzz is about this play and hopefully enjoy it a lot. The next book I want to read this break is Unfiltered by Lily Collins. Lily Collins, if you didn't know, is an actress. She was most recently in To the Bone, I think, was her most recent video. But I've watched that movie and I absolutely loved her acting. And she's a really sweet and kind person in real life, at least what I've seen so far. So I really wanted to read her book and find out more about her and what she's been through and the things she had to overcome to become this actress that she is now. I love reading books about actresses and how they've gotten to this place that they are in now and what they had to get over and what kind of events have happened to them that made them who they are now and just who they are in general, because I think it's really nice to connect on a deeper level with them by knowing what happened in their life and just knowing more about these people than what the paparazzi like to give us in the news and on magazine covers. The next book I want to read is another play. This is Dear Evan Hansen. It's actually a musical, but you know, technicalities. This play / musical has been around the YouTube community a little bit now, since the novel is coming out this month. But this is actually the screenplay with the song lyrics and everything. I adore the soundtrack and I love this music so much, so I really want to know what the rest of the story is behind the music. It's not super obvious when you just listen to the soundtrack by itself. I've obviously never seen it on Broadway, so I decided to read it. I'm really excited to read this. This is a story about suicide and coping with it and just making sure that no one is ever forgotten, and I think that's really sweet and important. last book that I'm going to read this break is The Slower Guard of Silent Things by Patrick Rothfuss. This is a novella to the Name of the Wind and the Kingkiller Chronicles in general, so this goes between The Name of the Wind and A Wise Man's Fear. This book follows one of the minor characters named Ari, and it's just about her days and what she does while Quoth is on his adventures and everything else happens in the rest of the books. It's really short and it's supposed to be really cute. There are really beautiful pictures in it which make it all the more whimsical, and I'm really excited to read it because Ari is such a sweet and delicate little character, and she's very special too. She's a lot different than a lot of normal people would be, so I'm really excited to read about it and learn more about her and hopefully fall all the more in love with her as well. These are the books that I'm planning to read this week during fall break. I know it seems like a lot of books, but last year I read about the same amount and I got them all read really easily and it was not stressful, so I believe I can do the same thing again this year. And I'm really excited to read these books, so I think it's very doable.
Into the night, calling out Father, oh, stand by and we will watch the flames burn over and on the mountainside. And if we should die tonight, we should all die together. Raise a